The mahogany-paneled law office felt suffocating as Mr. Peterson, the family attorney, read through Grandpa Harrison's will. My cousins sat smugly in their expensive suits and designer dresses, while I fidgeted in my off-the-rack clothing, feeling like the family disappointment they'd always claimed I was. To my grandchildren, Mr. Peterson droned, I leave the following. To James, my investment portfolio valued at $8 million. James smirked, adjusting his Rolex. To Catherine, my Hampton estate and art collection. My cousin smoothed her silk dress, shooting me a superior look. To Michael, my controlling interest in Harrison Industries. Another cousin, another self-satisfied smile. And to Emma, Mr. Peterson's lips curled slightly, I leave my storage unit at Safe and Lock Storage, Unit 23B, along with its contents. The room erupted in poorly concealed laughter. Cousin James didn't even try to hide his amusement. A storage unit? He sneered. Perfect for the family charity case. Maybe you can live in it, Emma, since you can't afford a real apartment. I sat quietly, remembering the last conversation I'd had with Grandpa before he passed. His cryptic words about appearances and seeing beneath the surface. The way he'd squeezed my hand when mentioning his storage unit. The unit must be claimed within 24 hours, Mr. Peterson added, or it reverts to the estate. Better hurry, Catherine laughed. Wouldn't want to miss out on Grandpa's old golf clubs and tax records. But I'd already stood up, grabbing my worn messenger bag. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I'll claim it now. The drive to Safe and Lock Storage was quick, though my cousin's laughter still rang in my ears. The facility was old, industrial, and exactly the kind of place the wealthy Harrison family would never be caught dead visiting. Perfect for hiding secrets. Unit 23B's door was rusty, the lock ancient. My hand trembled slightly as I inserted the key Mr. Peterson had given me. The door creaked open, revealing darkness beyond. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight, and in that beam of light, I saw what Grandpa had really left me. Oh, I whispered, understanding flooding through me. So this is where you hid the real family billions. The storage unit was deceptively ordinary at first glance: stacked boxes, old furniture, dusty filing cabinets. But my flashlight beam caught something that made my heart skip. A state-of-the-art retinal scanner, cleverly disguised as a damaged light fixture. I remembered Grandpa's last words. Emma, my dear, you're the only one who ever asked why I kept old paperwork instead of digitizing everything. The only one who noticed the patterns. Standing on tiptoe, I positioned my eye near the scanner. A soft blue light pulsed, and then, the back wall of the unit slid silently aside, revealing a gleaming steel vault door with a digital keypad. On a shelf beside it sat a single envelope with my name. Dearest Emma, Grandpa's letter began, his familiar handwriting bringing tears to my eyes. If you're reading this, you've already proven yourself smarter than the rest of them. The code is the date you showed me your first investment algorithm, the one your cousins mocked at the family dinner. I smiled, remembering that disaster of a Thanksgiving. While James bragged about his Harvard MBA, I tried to explain how my computer program could predict market trends. They'd laughed me out of the room. But Grandpa had pulled me aside afterward, asking questions, actually listening. With trembling fingers, I punched in the date. 11242019. The vault door swung open with a soft hiss, revealing a space that would have made James's investment portfolio look like pocket change. Servers hummed along one wall, the secret heart of what I now realized was Grandpa's true empire. Multiple screens displayed real-time data from markets worldwide. A quantum computer sat in one corner, its processing power probably greater than all of Harrison Industries' systems combined. My dear girl, Grandpa's letter continued, while they were fighting over who would inherit the visible fortune, you were the only one who understood. Real wealth in the modern age is digital, invisible, and built on information. I sank into the ergonomic chair that seemed to be waiting for me, taking in the arrays of cryptocurrency wallets, algorithmic trading systems, and digital asset portfolios that scrolled across the screens. The legitimate Harrison fortune they're dividing? The letter went on. A drop in the ocean. This is my true legacy, the digital empire I've built in secret. The one that actually controls Harrison Industries through shell companies and proxy servers. The one that owns the banks that hold their inheritances. My hands shook as I scanned the numbers flowing across the screens. Billions upon billions in digital assets, cryptocurrency, and algorithmic trading systems. Each screen showed another facet of a fortune that dwarfed everything my cousins thought they were inheriting. And now it's yours, Grandpa's letter concluded. Because you understood what they never did, that in today's world true power doesn't come from what you can show off. It comes from what you can hide in plain sight. A notification popped up on one of the screens. James's inheritance transfer had just been flagged by the system. Apparently, the account holding his $8 million had been quietly emptied minutes before the will reading. I couldn't help but smile. Grandpa's final lesson in humility was about to begin. The next hour in the storage unit was a crash course in just how deep Grandpa's digital empire ran. Each screen revealed another layer of his hidden fortune. Each server contained another piece of his master plan. Protocol activation required, flashed across the main display. Air authentication in progress. I placed my hand on the biometric scanner, watching as decades of carefully laid plans began to unfold. Somewhere across town, my cousins were probably still celebrating their windfall. Identity confirmed. Welcome, Emma Harrison. Initiating Operation Legacy. Multiple screens came alive simultaneously, showing the true extent of Grandpa's holdings. Harrison Industries wasn't just a subsidiary, it was a puppet, dancing on digital strings that led right back to this hidden command center. Jesus, Grandpa, I whispered, watching as real-time data streamed across the displays. You built a shadow empire. Another letter emerged from a hidden compartment, this one sealed with the Harrison family crest. My dearest Emma, it began, by now you've seen the surface. But there's more. So much more. I read on as notifications started flooding the screens. James's attempt to access his inheritance was being systematically blocked. Catherine's art collection transfer had mysteriously stalled. Michael's Harrison Industries shares were being recalled due to administrative errors. While they fought over the scraps, Grandpa's letter continued, I built something they couldn't understand. Every major financial institution, every significant market move, every technological advancement, we were there, invisible but essential. A secure phone line activated automatically. Ms. Harrison, a crisp voice spoke. Citadel Securities noting unusual activity in Harrison Holdings. Awaiting your instructions. My fingers flew across the keyboards, implementing protocols that had apparently been waiting for this moment. Execute Operation Clean Slate, I commanded, remembering the coded phrases Grandpa had taught me during our casual conversations about cryptocurrency. Confirmed. Implementing now. Across the screens, I watched as the visible Harrison fortune, the one my cousins thought they were inheriting, began to disintegrate. Not destroyed but transformed, flowing through digital channels into accounts and systems only I could now access. They never asked the right questions, Grandpa's letter went on. Never wondered why I spent so much time with my disappointing granddaughter who was wasting time with computers. Never noticed that while they were learning to spend money, I was teaching you how to make it invisible. A message popped up from Mr. Peterson's office. Urgent calls from James, Catherine, and Michael. Their inheritance transfers had all failed simultaneously. Your cousins will be angry, the letter acknowledged. They'll feel cheated, betrayed. Let them. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the most necessary. I leaned back in the chair, watching as billions in assets moved silently through the digital ecosystem Grandpa had built. Each transaction was legal, documented, and completely impossible to reverse. But why me? I asked the empty unit, my voice echoing off servers that controlled more wealth than I could comprehend. As if in answer, another compartment opened, revealing a final letter and a small gold key. The key you're holding, Grandpa's final letter began, opens a safety deposit box at Zurich International. Inside is the true story of how I built all this. But more importantly, it contains proof of why you were always meant to inherit it. My phone buzzed incessantly, texts from family members growing increasingly panicked as their financial worlds crumbled. Account frozen, contact administrator. Transfer denied, funds unavailable. Share authentication failed. I turned back to the letter, ignoring their digital desperation. You see, Emma, while they were learning to play golf at the country club, you were teaching yourself quantum computing. While they bragged about their trust funds, you built algorithms that could predict market shifts. While they networked at charity galas, You were quietly mining cryptocurrency before anyone knew what it was. Another screen lit up, showing a familiar piece of code, my first trading algorithm, the one I'd shown Grandpa years ago. But now I could see his annotations in the margins, notes that proved he'd not only understood it but had been secretly implementing it across his hidden empire. That Thanksgiving when they laughed at your program? The letter continued. I went home and restructured half my holdings based on your insights. Made $3 billion in the first week. That's when I knew you were ready. The quantum computer hummed louder, processing data streams that would make Wall Street's best systems look like pocket calculators. But the real test wasn't your intelligence, Grandpa wrote. It was your heart. See, I've been watching. When James lost half his trust fund in that foolish venture, who anonymously bailed him out. I blushed, remembering the complex web of transactions I'd used to save my cousin from his own arrogance, all while making it look like lucky market movements. When Catherine's art gallery was failing, who created the mysterious online buyers that kept her afloat? When Michael's position at Harrison Industries was threatened, who encrypted the evidence of his mistakes? The screens showed records of all these interventions, my secret efforts to protect my family, even as they mocked my worthless computer skills. You protected them, Emma. Not for gratitude or recognition, but because it was right. That's why you're sitting in this chair now. Not just because you understand the technology, but because you understand responsibility. A new alert flashed. Mr. Peterson requesting an urgent meeting with all beneficiaries. Apparently, the family lawyer was discovering just how thoroughly Grandpa had reconstructed the Harrison fortune. The empire is yours now, the letter concluded. But remember, true power isn't in making others feel small. It's in lifting them up while keeping your own strength hidden. I sat back, watching as the global financial system continued its invisible dance across my screens. In law offices and bank buildings across the city, my cousins were discovering that their inheritances had vanished like morning mist. But unlike them, I understood what Grandpa had really left us all. A lesson about the true nature of wealth and power in the digital age. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the storage unit's hidden command center as I prepared for the inevitable confrontation. My cousin's increasingly frantic messages had reached a crescendo, and Mr. Peterson had called an emergency family meeting for 5 p.m. Ms. Harrison, the AI assistant Grandpa had built into the system, spoke, its voice remarkably similar to his. Your cousins have arrived at the storage facility. Security cameras show they appear agitated. I could hear their expensive cars pulling up outside, doors slamming in sync with their anger. Through the facility's security feeds, I watched James pace in his Italian leather shoes, Catherine clutch her now worthless inheritance papers, and Michael frantically talk to his lawyers on speakerphone. Emma. James's voice boomed through the facility. We know you're in there. I took a deep breath, activating the unit's advanced security systems, another of Grandpa's hidden precautions. The outer door might look like rusted metal, but it could withstand a small explosion. Initialize protocol revelation, I commanded the system. Multiple screens shifted, displaying the carefully prepared documentation Grandpa had assembled over years. You can't hide in there forever. Catherine's voice now tight with panic. The banks say all our accounts are frozen. I smiled slightly, watching their inheritance literally transform before my eyes. Every asset they thought they were getting was being systematically converted into digital form, flowing through encrypted channels into the new structure Grandpa had designed. Legal teams standing by, the AI reported. All transactions documented and verified. Shall I begin the presentation? Not yet, I replied, opening another of Grandpa's letters, this one marked for the moment of truth. My dearest Emma, it began, if you're reading this, they've discovered the first part of their lesson. Now comes the harder part, teaching them what real wealth means in our new world. The storage unit's hidden door systems hummed as my cousins approached. They'd find the outer door unlocked exactly as planned. Remember, Grandpa's letter continued, power isn't about making others feel powerless. It's about showing them a better way to be powerful. I stood up from the command chair, straightening my simple blazer as the door began to open. Time to show my family what their grandfather had really built, and why he'd chosen his disappointing granddaughter to inherit it all. Welcome to the real Harrison Empire, I said as they burst in, their angry expressions turning to shock as they saw the technological marvel hidden behind the storage unit's humble exterior. "Shall we discuss your inheritance?" Their faces cycled through emotions: anger, confusion, disbelief, and finally, dawning comprehension as they took in the arrays of servers, quantum computers, and real-time financial displays. What is all this?" Michael stammered, his Harrison Industries shares clutched uselessly in his hand. "This," I gestured to the command center, "is where Grandpa really ran everything. Those assets you thought you were inheriting? They were just the surface. The real Harrison fortune exists here in the digital realm." "But my investment portfolio," James started, "was a test," I finished. "When you all failed. While you were bragging about millions, Grandpa was building billions in digital assets, cryptocurrency, and algorithmic trading systems." Catherine sank into a nearby chair, her designer dress rumpled. "The art collection is now part of a blockchain-verified digital asset portfolio," I explained, bringing up the relevant screens. "Worth considerably more than the physical paintings, by the way." The AI assistant chose that moment to speak. "Ms. Harrison, the transfer of all legacy assets is complete. The new Harrison digital empire is fully operational." My cousins jumped at the familiar voice, Grandpa's voice, coming from the systems. "He left us nothing," Michael whispered. "No," I corrected gently, remembering Grandpa's words about teaching rather than punishing. "He left you something more valuable than money. He left you a lesson about the future, and a chance to be part of it if you're willing to learn." I pressed a button and 3 folders materialized from a hidden compartment, each containing an invitation to join the real Harrison empire, not as entitled heirs, but as students of a new way of building wealth. "The choice is yours," I said, offering them a chance at redemption. "You can fight over what you thought you deserved, or you can learn what Grandpa really built, and why he chose to hide it in a storage unit that only his disappointing granddaughter would think to understand."